The Senate will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, would you please call the roll?
Senators Aguilar, Baumgardner, Sergeant John Cook, Colorado National Guard, Quorum, Court, Specialist Larry W. Crowder, United States Army, Donovan, Finberg, Fields, Corporal Leroy Garcia, United States Marine Corps, Lieutenant Colonel Bob Gardner, United States Air Force, retired. Guzman.
Excused.
Captain Owen Hill, United States Air Force. Holbert. John. Jones. Kagan. Kafalis. Kerr. Colonel Kent Lambert, United States Air Force, retired. Lundberg. Marble. Martinez-Humenic. Merrifield. Moreno. Neville. Priola. Scott.
Excused.
Smallwood. Sonnenberg. Tate. Todd. Williams. Zenzinger. Mr. President.
Here. Morning roll calls, 33 present, 0 absent, 2 excused. We have a quorum. Senator Court, would you please come and lead us in the pledge this morning?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, guests, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Approval of the journal. Senator Fenberg.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. President. It is my pleasure to move that the reading of the journal of Thursday, January 27th, 2017, be 26. Jeez. Give me a few more months, and then I'll get this right. January 26th, 2017, be dispensed with and approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the most excellent motion by Senator Fenberg. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion is adopted. Reports to the Committee of Reference.
January 26, 2017, Committee on Agriculture, Natural Resources, Energy. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 30 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation and with a recommendation may be placed on the consent calendar. January 26, 2017, Committee on Finance. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 78 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. January 26, 2017, Committee on Education. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 60 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. January 26, 2017, Committee on Education. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 52 be referred to Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation and with a recommendation that be placed on the consent calendar. January 26, 2017, Committee on Health and Human Services. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 65 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. January 26, 2017, Committee on Health and Human Services. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 28 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to Committee on Appropriations with a favorable recommendation. January 26, 2017, Committee on Health and Human Services. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 11 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
Second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
Motion before the body is to resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself from the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of General Order's second reading of bills consent calendar, and Senator Garcia will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. The court rule is not relaxed. Will the clerk please read the bills of the titles listed on general orders, second reading of bills consent calendar?
Senate Bill 18 by Senator Moreno and Representative Arndt concerning a correction to an amending clause in Senate Bill 146 related to the repeal of Part 14 of Article 4 of Title 25.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Senate Bill 20 by Senators Cook and Representative Melton and Janal concerning the establishment of a uniform approval standard for Fire and Police Pension Association statewide plan elections. Senate Bill 13 by Senator Jones and Representative Danielson and Van Winkle concerning authorization of the Board of Directors of the Fire and Police Pension Association to develop a multi-employer deferred compensation plan document. Senate Bill 46 by Senator Tate and Representative Arndt concerning the modernization of procedures pertaining to warrants and checks not yet presented to the State Treasurer for payment.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move all of the bills on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar consisting of Senate Bill 18, 20, 13, and 46.
Is there any discussion? The motion before the body is the adoption of the bills on second general orders, second reading of bills consent calendars. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills on the consent calendar are adopted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report as under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations thereon: Senate Bill 18, Senate Bill 20, Senate Bill 13, Senate Bill 46, passed on second reading, order engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
The motion is for the adoption of the report to the Committee of the Whole. Are there any no votes? Seeing none, with a vote of 33 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 18, Senate Bill 20, Senate Bill 13, Senate Bill 46 passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the general order second reading of bills calendar lay over, retaining its place on the calendar until Monday, January 30th.
Motion before the body is for general order second reading of bills calendar to retain its place on the calendar and be laid over till Monday, January 30th. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. That motion is adopted. Message from the Governor.
September 23, 2016, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the Constitution and laws of the State of Colorado, I have the honor to designate upon to submit to your consideration the following: member of the Board of Mortgage Loan Originators for a term expiring August 10, 2020, Miriam Pena Garcia of Denver, Colorado, to serve as a member of the public at large, appointed sincerely John W. Hickenlooper, Governor. December 12, 2016, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the Constitution and laws of the State of Colorado, I have the honor to designate, appoint, and submit to your consideration the following: member of the Colorado Wildlife Habitat Stamp Committee for a term expiring December 31st, 2019, Andrew Christian Treharn of Denver, Colorado, to serve as sportsperson and occasioned by the resignation of Kyle Miller of Denver, Colorado, appointed sincerely John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Oh. Gotcha. Did you only do the first one? Or did you do both of them? Okay. For the appointee to the Board of Mortgage Loan Originators, Business, Labor, and Technology, and for the appointee to the Colorado Wildlife Habitat Stamp Committee, Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy. Signing of bills.
The President has signed Senate General Resolution 2.
Announcements. Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think I may need to ask for a moment of privilege for announcement of a couple of veteran guests.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm privileged to have with me this morning a couple of very good and close friends who are veterans. There'll be introductions over in the other chamber, but I did not want them to get lost in the shuffle. First of all is my friend and mentor of many, many years, has known me longer than all of my family, was my instructor at the Air Force Academy. He is a fighter pilot, retired Colonel Donald J. Alberts, who was awarded the Silver Star for his service during one of his 2 tours in Vietnam.
Colleagues.
Colonel Alberts.
Colleagues.
And then my daughter's very close friend and our family friend, Marine active duty 2005 to 2009, 2 tours in Iraq, Private First Class Ryan Clark. Thank you both for your service.
Thank you, Senator. My apologies for interrupting you. Senator Court.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 announcements. May I make them one after the other?
Yes, please.
Thank you. The first announcement, I want to point out that as my dear friend, Senator Coram, I am wearing red today in honor of our military, and I want to remind everybody that Fridays are Wear Red Day to remember our military. So thank you, Senator Coram, for starting this tradition in the House, and I hope we will transplant it here to the Senate. So thank you all for trying to remember that. The second thing I want to do is point out the restorative justice lunch that's going to happen on Monday, and these notices will be on your desk on Monday to go down and hear the discussion about restorative justice. I heard a story on NPR as I was driving in this morning by a woman whose son was murdered, and she became close friends with his murderer and actually considers now her son's murderer her spiritual son. That's what restorative justice is all about. So I hope you'll consider going to the lunch on Monday, and the notices will be on your desk that day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, on your desk you will find a piece of paper that's asking if you are currently a member of the Colorado Legislative Sportsmen's Caucus or if you would like to be. I would like to say that yesterday's meeting down in the basement was very good. We had about 16 or 17 legislators that showed up and a lively discussion on animals and feeding them in the snow to fishing license to just about anything that you'd want to talk about. So it also says on here to return it to Representative Wilson, but if you want to fill it out and just leave it on my desk, I'll be more than happy to pick those up. Thank you.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. Announcement for Senate State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee. We are having a little bit of a revision of the calendar. We are moving Senate Bill 79 by Lois Court from Tuesday, the 31st, to Wednesday, February 1st calendar. So that is the only revision that we're making in the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee so far. Thank you.
Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could I have a moment of personal privilege, please?
Granted.
Or excuse me. Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry for saying Mr. Chair. Members, this annual snow show is going on in Denver this year, where all the people come in and talk about skiing and snowboarding, and it's quite an event. It used to be held in Las Vegas and Denver. When I used to ski a lot, I always wanted to go to it, but now here it is in Denver. And it reminds us of what that sport does for our economy and our tourism, and the epic snow year that is starting to happen, wasn't originally happening, and that to remind us that skiers rule and snowboarders drool. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we're going to recess here. We'll come back later in the day about 1:30 to read some bills over the desk. You will not have to be here, but we will recess and then head over to the House for Military Appreciation Day. We'll make an announcement there. We're going to try a new format to try to speed things up. We've had maybe 3 hours or so on the House floor before. And we want to be respectful for our guest veterans. But I'll explain that when we get there. If you are a sponsor of a resolution in the House, please be prepared to be down in the well. We're going to move those resolutions through quickly, and the House will vote on them. We'll add co-sponsors. Then we will go into recess after all of the resolutions have been moved, read, and voted on. And then we will go into recess, and we will all have the opportunity to go down and speak on the resolutions collectively rather than do that process 7 or 8 times. A couple of years ago, we had a veteran actually pass out in the chamber and had to call EMT, and they had to come and revive that person and take him off. So it's not an attempt to discourage you from speaking on the resolutions, but really an attempt to be respectful for our guests in the chamber and move through a little quicker. One other thing, if I could please have your attention. We have members of our ITIS staff over here. Gentlemen, if you can maybe raise your hands and wave. Give them a round of applause. If you need help with your hardware, if you need help with the intranet here in the Capitol, if you need help with our new website, if you have constituents who are asking for help with that website, these gentlemen are here to help you accomplish those things. So if you don't have their contacts, if you don't know their great work, please take a moment and get to know them, maybe exchange business cards, and get your questions answered. Mr. President, I see the esteemed chairman of JBC standing here, so I will not recess quite yet.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you. I just wanted clarification on that. When Lance Corporal Garcia passed out, was it because he was at attention with his knees locked?
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having respect for members of all branches of the armed services, I will refrain from speculating on that question. Mr. President, with that, I move that the Senate recess until 1:30 p.m. today.
The motion before the body is for the Senate to recess until 1:30 today. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. That motion is adopted, and we are in recess.